Hi, everybody. DUGROZ here with DUGROZ Reports. In 1989, there was a series of comic books that came out in the Batman series called A Lonely Place of Dying. Now, it's been more than a decade since I've read this, but based on what I remember, the name A Lonely Place of Dying conveys images of dying alone, all by yourself, in a private place. Nobody even cares about your death. And I feel like that applies to the US Bank Altitude Reserve at this juncture because they've already announced that it'll be nerfed in less than a week on December 18th. So let's just talk about the US Bank Altitude Reserve nerf and how it affects me and what my general thoughts are on that. Before I dive in, though, on this particular channel, I talk about finding epic value, including but not limited to credit card rewards for the average American. And if that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel. Please click the thumbs up button. Let's dive in. So I've had my Altitude Reserve since 2020, and it's been a great card for me. It's been primarily my car rental card. I think I've used it 14 to 17 times on car rentals, something like that. And some people have said things like, well, it's still a pretty good card, 3% cash back or 3x on some unknown transfer partners. And I suppose in a way that's true, but it's just not special anymore. What made it special was the synergy that it had, at least for me. Like I said, it was the perfect car rental card. So with car rentals, there's really no way to pay for them directly with points. Hertz Enterprise, Alamo, none of them are transfer partners of any major bank or any bank at all, as far as I'm aware. So you could book through portals like with the CSR, that kind of thing, although the 1.5 there even is going away. You've got minimal options. You can use the Aeroplan Caravan trick that I mentioned, but one flaw of that is that the Aeroplan card does not have primary car rental coverage unless you're outside your home country. So if you went overseas, you're fine, but within the United States, that doesn't really do any good. And for a primarily domestic traveler like myself, someone with teenage boys, trying to keep those insurance rates low, primary car rental coverage is a very important thing. So while there are other cards that would offer bits and pieces of that, the Venture X might offer primary rental car coverage. The Aeroplan card offers 1.5. Cards like the Chase Sapphire Reserve have a credit they give you on general travel every year, as does, depending on who you ask, the Ritz-Carlton. None of those put it all together in one neat, tidy package like the Altitude Reserve does and will for a few more days until it meets its lonely place of dying. So you could rent a car. If it was the first time you had used dining or travel, you would trigger that credit of $325. And this wasn't a portal coupon, but it will be in the future, which is one of the big nerfs. So let's say I rent a car and it's exactly $350. I get $325 of that back. Yes, I've already paid that $400 annual fee, but since I was going to rent a car anyway and it comes right off the top, this is one of the few times I felt comfortable giving full value or functionally full value to any sort of credit or coupon that came on a card. Then, if you had enough points, it would trigger real-time rewards. You'd get a text message. You just respond to that text message and say redeem, and it would give you a credit for the amount you spent at 1.5 cents per point. Oftentimes with car rentals, at least if it's in airport, they would put an extra 200 or 300 on it, so you could get a nice slush fund going as well for your damage hold, and then you get that refunded. So you actually can take some of your US Bank Altitude Reserve credit and apply it to miscellaneous things while traveling, like souvenirs, dining, whatever. As you know, I like to hit a net zero base on all of my RIP trips and family vacations. You had the primary car rental coverage, which thankfully I've never had to use. But if I had to, at least I knew it was there. And then you're also double dipping. You're earning at a rate of 3x on the very travel that you're doing. Then it's also beneficial because you're not using a portal. You're going directly through the car rental company, whether it's Hertz, Alamo, Enterprise, Avis. dollar, whatever. As long as it codes as travel and it's over $150, it would trigger. Hotel and rentals had to be over $150. Some other things could be a lower threshold, like Uber would trigger as low as $25. So you could go directly to the car rental company, which meant multiple things. One is you could use some sort of cookie-based portal like Rakuten, like the Chase shopping portal, something like that. Hypothetically, Rove, although it wasn't around long enough to make an impact. So you earn a little extra on top of it. So in that sense, you're triple dipping. You could also apply any discounts you might have. You have discount shopping. So let's say you use something like AutoSlash to find the cheapest rate possible, whether or not you were a member of that program, whether it went to Priceline, Orbitz, directly to Avis, directly to Hertz, all of it triggers as long as you meet those minimums. It was just perfectly synchronous with itself. It was a one-shop stop and it did everything you wanted. I generally earned enough on like tap to pay because it got 3x on mobile wallet every year to get about 1.5 rental cars. And then I was also fortunate, apparently the people at US Bank really liked me. I always got a retention offer of at least 5,000 points every single year, which translates to $75. So it fills in that net annual fee gap, functionally making no annual fee, and thereby giving me enough points to get usually 2 to 3 car rentals a year if they felt particularly generous on that retention offer. So it just worked for me. I didn't have to worry about how I was going to do my car rentals. I used it a couple times on Ubers and those kind of things too. I think one time I used it on a hotel. So yeah, I'm sad to see it go. We will see what happens. So my annual fee comes up for renewal in February. So I'm fortunate if I can see what the changes are before making a decision. Now, this is assuming US Bank announces their transfer partners in a timely manner. I think we're all assuming it'd be silly not to, to put the nerfs on your card into effect and then not say what the transfer partners are. That would be really unappealing. The other question is, what's US Bank going to do with all their other cards? Are the transfer partners only going to be in the Altitude Reserve? Is it going to be on the Altitude Connect, on the Altitude Go? Can you have an actual cohesive ecosystem? What about cards like the Cash Plus that are cash back? Will US Bank be Capital One-esque that you can do the standard, 1% cash back equals 1 point kind of thing? Every penny of cash back gets you 1 point and you can move it between it. Think of what a powerhouse the Cash Plus would be. 5x transferable points on utilities, gyms and fitness centers, those kind of things, if they do. So the question is, for the US Bank Altitude Reserve, will it be something like a lonely place of dying for them? Or will it be more like the end of Dumb and Dumber where they totally redeem themselves? I feel like the odds of them totally redeeming themselves are small. What are some things they could do to totally redeem themselves? Well, you would have to have like really good transfer partners for me to be convinced that there's some sort of redemption happening. Or at least halfway decent. Something that could get me halfway decent would be if they had choice as a transfer partner at 1 to 2. At least match what Citi has. At least match what Wells Fargo has. Don't be like Capital One is. Maybe Wyndham as a transfer partner, so I could use it on decent Wyndham hotels or cottages.com. Preferably something better than 1 to 1. This is a situation where I'm actually okay with something like 1 to 1.5. Maybe even they could say, hey, for the first 6 months, we're going to transfer to Wyndham at 1 to 2, and thereafter 1 to 1.5. 1.5 would be good enough to make it fairly competitive. If I'm earning 3x on mobile wallet, I'm effectively earning 4.5 Wyndham points on all of my mobile wallet spend. And I value Wyndham points at 1.25 when used on things like cottages or the higher end Wyndhams. In the past, Vacasa, RIP Vacasa, that's like 1.62 Wyndham points per dollar on everything else, kind of, as long as they take mobile wallet. That could be compelling. Maybe they'll shock us and get some sort of really good transfer partner like Japan Airlines or something like that. Maybe they'll land Aeroplan right out of the gate. I mean, none of us really know. They're obviously not going to get the domestic standards like United, American, Delta. Those all have exclusivity agreements. Nor are they going to get Hilton, Hyatt, or Marriott. Those also have exclusivity agreements. So it'd have to be something else that would work with that. Maybe they could pick up I Prefer at 1 to 4 like City. If they got all of those things, Choice at 1 to 2, Wyndham at 1 to 1.5, I Prefer at 1 to 4, Aeroplan, Japan Airlines. If they got all of those, I would say, well done. You totally redeemed yourself. If they got like half of those, I'd say, you kind of redeemed yourself. If they don't get anything even close to that, I'm going to be like, bum, 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 bam. So I guess we'll wait and see. We've got about a week to go. Is it going to be a lonely place of dying, or are they going to totally redeem themselves? Thanks for watching today. I will mention that I do have one and only one channel membership level. It's called a DUGROZ DieHard. It's $3 a month. Cancel anytime. I've got over 60 members only videos. So if you want to sign up, binge them all, cancel a month or two later, I won't be offended. And if you stumbled in here and you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to this channel and click the thumbs up button. And as always, may your spending be frugal, and may your points be plenteous. Thanks.